My sacred resonance awakened the Alpha King's ancient guardian wolf, and it recognized my soul before my king ever understood my destiny. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss our newest dramatic and emotional stories. It only takes a moment, it is completely free, and your support helps us continue creating unforgettable fantasy romance journeys like this one. Your encouragement truly means everything to us. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where you are watching from and what time it is in your part of the world right now. We love discovering how far these stories travel, and welcoming everyone joining us today. Now let us begin today's story. The ancient wolf had slept for 300 years, but when she touched the forgotten stone, it opened its eyes and recognized her soul. Claire Hawthorne never expected a quiet life among the hills of Silverpine Valley to become connected with the fate of an entire kingdom. For as long as she could remember, strange things happened whenever she used her mysterious gift. Flowers that had lost their color seemed brighter after she held them. Ancient symbols hidden beneath old stones appeared when she passed nearby. Yet Claire never considered herself special. She believed her purpose was simple: help others, remain humble, and never seek a place that did not belong to her. Her gift was not ordinary healing. It was something older, something she called sacred resonance, a rare connection between her spirit and the forgotten energy of the world. She did not understand where it came from or why it chose her. She only knew that it responded to kindness, compassion, and the desire to restore balance. One autumn morning, a royal messenger arrived at her small cottage carrying a sealed invitation from Blackwood Kingdom. The message requested her presence at the royal palace because the kingdom's ancient records had discovered a strange disturbance connected to the legendary guardian wolf. Claire almost refused. She was not a noble, a warrior, or someone who belonged inside royal halls. But when she touched the invitation, a faint silver light appeared across the ancient seal, revealing a symbol she had never seen before. The messenger looked at her with confusion. "That mark has not appeared in centuries," he whispered. Claire felt a quiet pull toward the unknown. She knew she could not ignore it. When she arrived at Blackwood Palace, Claire felt the weight of history surrounding her. The towering stone walls, ancient statues, and royal traditions seemed like a world created for people far different from her. Waiting inside the grand hall was Rowan Ashcroft, the Alpha King of Blackwood Kingdom. He was respected across the realm for his wisdom and leadership, but behind his calm expression was a man carrying the responsibility of generations before him. Rowan studied Claire carefully. He had expected a powerful noble or an experienced royal scholar. Instead, he found a gentle woman with simple clothing and a quiet confidence that seemed impossible to explain. "You are the one connected to the ancient records?" Rowan asked. Claire lowered her head respectfully. "I do not know why I was called here, Your Majesty. I only know that something brought me to this place." Before Rowan could respond, the entire palace grew silent. Deep beneath the royal halls, something forgotten began to awaken. The ancient guardian wolf, a legendary protector that had remained asleep for hundreds of years, sensed the presence of sacred resonance. The old stone doors of the hidden sanctuary slowly opened, revealing a light that no one in the kingdom had seen for generations. Nobles gathered in disbelief. The Alpha King stood still as the legendary creature stepped forward. Everyone expected the guardian wolf to approach the ruler it was sworn to protect. But instead it walked past the throne, past the gathered nobles, and stopped before Claire Hawthorne. The ancient guardian lowered its head before her. The entire kingdom watched in silence. Claire herself could not understand what was happening. She had never searched for power. She had never dreamed of recognition. Yet an ancient being had found her before anyone else could. And in that moment Rowan Ashcroft realized that the woman standing before him carried a mystery older than the kingdom itself. The entire kingdom remained silent after the ancient guardian wolf bowed before Claire Hawthorne. For generations, the people of Blackwood had believed that the legendary guardian existed only to protect the Alpha bloodline. Every ruler had been taught the same story. The guardian wolf would awaken only when the kingdom faced a moment of great importance, and it would stand beside the Alpha King chosen by destiny. Yet now, before the eyes of the royal court, the ancient creature had recognized a quiet Omega woman who had arrived with no title, no wealth, and no desire for power. Claire felt the weight of hundreds of curious eyes surrounding her. She gently stepped back, unsure how to respond. "I think there must be a mistake," she whispered. Rowan Ashcroft watched her carefully. Unlike the nobles who immediately searched for explanations, he noticed something different about Claire. She did not look proud. She did not look eager for attention. She looked almost overwhelmed by the responsibility suddenly placed upon her. "The Guardian does not make mistakes," Rowan finally said. His voice was calm, but his expression showed that he had questions of his own. The royal scholars spent the following days studying ancient records, hoping to understand why the guardian wolf had awakened. Claire remained in the palace during this time, feeling like a visitor in a world that was never meant for her. She walked through halls filled with paintings of past kings and queens, wondering how someone like her could possibly be connected to such an ancient mystery. Meanwhile, Rowan observed the changes happening around him. The guardian wolf, which had remained distant from every generation of the royal family, seemed peaceful whenever Claire was nearby. The ancient symbols throughout the palace began glowing softly, revealing forgotten writings that had not appeared for centuries. One evening, Rowan found Claire standing beside an old stone wall covered in mysterious markings. She was not trying to activate them. She was simply listening. "You are not searching for answers the way everyone else is," Rowan said. Claire turned toward him with a gentle expression. "Sometimes people look so hard for power that they forget to listen." Her words surprised him. As Alpha King, Rowan had spent his entire life learning strategies, traditions, and responsibilities. Yet no one had ever told him that listening could reveal what knowledge could not. Claire placed her hand near the ancient symbols, and a soft silver glow appeared. The markings revealed an image of the first guardian wolf standing beside a figure who was not a king or queen, but a person carrying the same symbol Claire had seen on the royal invitation. The discovery changed everything. The royal scholars realized the old legends had been incomplete. The guardian wolf had never existed only to protect a throne. It had been waiting for someone who could restore a forgotten connection between the kingdom and the ancient world. Rowan looked at Claire with a new understanding. He still did not know who she truly was or why destiny had brought her to Blackwood. But for the first time, he wondered if the answer was not hidden in the ancient records. Perhaps the answer was standing right in front of him, waiting to be discovered. The discovery inside the ancient hall changed the way everyone in Blackwood Kingdom viewed Claire Hawthorne. The royal scholars continued studying the forgotten symbols, but every answer seemed to create more questions. The image revealed on the stone wall was unlike anything recorded in the royal archives. It showed an ancient guardian standing beside a person carrying the same mysterious mark that appeared when Claire arrived at the palace. Yet there was no name, no title, and no explanation of who that person had been. Claire never felt excitement about the attention surrounding her. Instead, she felt a growing responsibility. She had spent her entire life believing her sacred resonance was simply a gift meant to help others quietly. She never imagined that it could be connected to legends that shaped the history of an entire kingdom. Rowan Ashcroft noticed her uncertainty. While the court focused on what Claire could represent, he focused on who she was. He saw how she continued helping palace workers, how she thanked servants by name, and how she treated every person with the same respect regardless of their position. One morning, Rowan invited Claire to visit the ancient sanctuary where the guardian wolf rested. The royal advisors expected a formal ceremony, but Rowan wanted to understand the truth without pressure or expectations. As they entered the quiet sanctuary, the guardian wolf opened its eyes and approached Claire peacefully. It did not act like a creature responding to power. It acted like a forgotten friend recognizing someone it had waited for. Claire slowly reached toward the ancient markings on the stone floor. The moment her hand touched the symbol, a wave of gentle light spread across the sanctuary, revealing memories hidden for generations. Rowan watched as images appeared around them, showing ancient guardians protecting the balance between nature, magic, and humanity. The vision revealed that sacred resonance was never created to control others. It existed to connect people with the world around them and remind them of their responsibility to protect what could not protect itself. When the vision ended, Claire stepped back in silence. "Why me?" she asked softly. Rowan looked at the ancient symbol glowing beside her. "Perhaps the better question is why the kingdom forgot someone like you was possible." His words stayed with her. For years, Claire had wondered why her gift felt different from the abilities of other healers. Now she understood that it was not meant to make her powerful above others. It was meant to help her create understanding between those who had become separated. However, not everyone in the palace welcomed this discovery. Some members of the royal council feared that an unknown Omega connected to an ancient guardian could change the balance of power they had protected for generations. They questioned Claire's origins and wondered whether the guardian wolf had chosen correctly. Claire heard their doubts, but she did not respond with anger. She simply continued doing what she had always done: listening, helping, and showing kindness. Rowan watched her carefully and realized something important. The guardian wolf had not chosen Claire because she sought importance. It had chosen her because she carried something rare in any age: a heart that could hold great power without being controlled by it. And for the first time, Rowan began wondering if destiny had not brought Claire to his kingdom to protect it from danger, but to remind everyone what true strength had always been. The revelation beneath Blackwood Palace changed the way Claire Hawthorne saw herself. For years, she had believed her sacred resonance was simply a quiet gift meant to help people in need. She never imagined that an ancient promise connected her to a forgotten chapter of the kingdom's history. Yet after seeing the memories hidden within the sanctuary, Claire understood that the power she carried was not about being chosen above others. It was about bringing people together when they had forgotten how to listen. However, the discovery created uncertainty throughout the palace. The royal council requested a formal gathering to determine whether Claire truly belonged within the ancient traditions of Blackwood Kingdom. Many respected her kindness, but others struggled to accept that a white Omega woman from a small village could be connected to a legacy older than the royal family itself. Claire entered the Grand Council chamber with calm steps, even though she felt the weight of every gaze around her. She did not come seeking approval or recognition. She came because she believed the truth deserved to be understood. Rowan Ashcroft stood beside her, not in front of her. The simple gesture surprised many nobles because the Alpha King had always been expected to stand alone as the highest authority in the room. "Today is not about proving whether Claire is worthy," Rowan said. "Today is about understanding why the ancient guardian recognized something we failed to remember." The council presented Claire with a traditional test recorded in the oldest royal documents. They believed the Keeper of Resonance should demonstrate extraordinary power. But when Claire reached the ancient crystal placed before her, nothing happened at first. The room remained silent. Some nobles exchanged doubtful looks, believing the legend had finally been disproven. Claire closed her eyes and took a slow breath. She remembered the words hidden in the sanctuary. Sacred resonance was never created to control. It existed to connect. Instead of forcing her energy toward the crystal, Claire simply placed her hand upon it with patience and understanding. Slowly, the crystal began to glow. Not with overwhelming force, but with a gentle light that spread across the entire chamber. The ancient symbols on the walls awakened one by one, revealing forgotten names of healers, guardians, and leaders who had worked together throughout history. The guardian wolf appeared at the entrance of the chamber and watched silently. It did not come to claim Claire as a ruler. It came to remind everyone of the purpose behind the ancient bond. The council members looked at the symbols with new understanding. The test had never been about power. It had been about intention. Claire had succeeded because she sought balance rather than recognition. After the gathering ended, Rowan found Claire standing in the palace garden, looking toward the distant mountains. "You were never afraid that you would fail," he said. Claire smiled softly. "I was afraid that people would only see what I could do and forget who I am." Rowan understood her words. He had spent years being seen only as the Alpha King, rarely as the person beneath the crown. In that moment he realized they shared something deeper than destiny. They both wanted to be valued for their hearts, not simply for the roles they carried. As the evening sky painted the kingdom in golden light, the ancient guardian wolf rested peacefully near the palace gardens. For the first time in centuries, the forgotten bond between the guardian, the kingdom, and its people had begun to awaken again. And Rowan knew that the greatest challenge was no longer discovering Claire's secret. It was helping the world understand the beautiful truth that had been hidden for generations. After the council gathering, Blackwood Kingdom entered a period of quiet transformation. The ancient revelation had changed many beliefs that had remained untouched for generations, but true change required more than a single moment of discovery. Claire Hawthorne understood this better than anyone. She had never wanted admiration, a title, or a place above others. She simply wanted people to remember that every person had value, regardless of their background or position. Instead of remaining inside the palace surrounded by scholars and nobles, Claire returned to the villages surrounding the kingdom. She wanted to understand what the people needed, not what others assumed they needed. Wherever she traveled, the effects of sacred resonance became clearer. Old gardens that had been neglected for years began to bloom again. Ancient symbols appeared on forgotten paths, guiding people toward places where knowledge from the past could be restored. Yet Claire always reminded everyone that the change did not come from her alone. A gift is only meaningful when it helps others discover their own strength, she often said. Rowan Ashcroft watched these changes with growing respect. As Alpha King, he had always believed his responsibility was to protect the kingdom through careful decisions and strong leadership. But Claire showed him another form of leadership, one built on patience and understanding. One afternoon, Rowan joined Claire during a visit to a small village near the northern forest. The people were surprised to see their king walking among them without ceremony or distance. Children gathered around Claire as she explained the history of ancient plants, while villagers shared stories about their families and traditions. Rowan listened more than he spoke. For the first time in many years, he allowed himself to learn from the voices of ordinary people. On their journey back to the palace, Rowan looked toward the forest where the ancient guardian wolf quietly followed at a distance. "I spent my entire life believing a king must always have the answers," he admitted. Claire looked at him with a gentle smile. Sometimes the wisest leaders are the ones who know when to listen. Her words stayed with him long after they returned. Rowan realized that the guardian wolf had not awakened to replace his role. It had awakened to remind him of the purpose behind it. A crown was not valuable because people bowed before it. A crown was valuable because it represented a promise to care for those who trusted it. Meanwhile, the royal court slowly began changing as well. Some nobles who had once questioned Claire started seeing the difference she made throughout the kingdom. They realized that her presence did not weaken tradition. Instead, it helped tradition remember its original purpose. However, Claire still struggled with one question. If her destiny was connected to the ancient guardian, did she truly belong in Blackwood Kingdom? One evening, she stood alone beside the palace garden fountain, watching the stars above the kingdom. Rowan found her there and noticed the uncertainty in her expression. "You still wonder if you belong here," he said softly. Claire looked at him honestly. "I spent my whole life being someone who helped others leave stronger. I never imagined I would find a place where I could stay." Rowan smiled gently. "Perhaps that is because you were never searching for a place. You were searching for people who saw you clearly." Those words touched something deep within Claire's heart. For the first time, she began to understand that destiny was not a command written in ancient stones. Destiny was a choice created through kindness, trust, and the courage to accept where the heart truly belonged. As autumn slowly gave way to the first signs of winter, Blackwood Kingdom began changing in ways that no royal decree could have accomplished. Villages that had once lived apart started working together to restore forgotten forests, rebuild neglected shrines, and protect the ancient rivers that had long been ignored. Claire Hawthorne never claimed credit for these changes. She believed every act of kindness inspired another, creating a quiet chain that spread farther than anyone could measure. Rowan Ashcroft often traveled beside her without announcing his arrival. He no longer wished to understand his kingdom only through reports delivered inside palace walls. Instead, he wanted to see the people whose hopes and struggles shaped the future he had promised to protect. During one journey through the eastern woodlands, the ancient guardian wolf suddenly stopped beside an enormous stone arch, almost completely hidden beneath vines and moss. The creature remained perfectly still, its silver eyes fixed upon faded carvings that had not been touched for centuries. Claire felt sacred resonance gently stirring within her once again. As she approached the ancient arch, soft light spread across every forgotten symbol, revealing words written in the oldest language of the kingdom. Rowan carefully read the newly awakened inscription, while the royal scholars copied every line. The message spoke of the lost covenant, an agreement created before the first royal crown had ever existed. It declared that the guardian wolf had never belonged to a single ruler. Instead, It had been entrusted with protecting the harmony between humanity, nature, and those willing to place service above ambition. The Alpha King and the Keeper of Resonance were never meant to compete for authority. They were meant to walk together, each strengthening what the other could not accomplish alone. Rowan remained silent for several moments. Every lesson he had learned since childhood suddenly fit together with surprising clarity. The Guardian never chose between us, he finally said. It chose the path we were supposed to share. Claire smiled softly as she looked toward the ancient wolf. Perhaps it was waiting for both of us to understand that. The Guardian wolf slowly stepped beneath the stone arch, inviting them forward. Beyond it stretched an untouched valley filled with towering trees, crystal streams, and ancient ruins that seemed untouched by time. The scholars stood in complete amazement as forgotten gardens awakened beneath the gentle light of sacred resonance. Flowers bloomed despite the approaching winter, and old fountains began flowing once more with perfectly clear water. The valley was not a hidden kingdom waiting to be conquered. It was a living reminder of the balance their ancestors had once protected together. Rowan and Claire spent the following weeks restoring the sacred place with the help of villagers, craftsmen, scholars, and palace workers alike. There were no distinctions between noble and commoner within the valley. Everyone worked side by side because every contribution mattered equally. Watching this, the Guardian wolf rested peacefully beneath the ancient trees, as though it had finally witnessed the return of something it had guarded for centuries. One evening, as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, Rowan turned toward Claire with quiet gratitude. "You did not change my kingdom," he said. "You reminded it of the promise it had forgotten." Claire gently shook her head. Promises do not return because of one person. They return because people choose to remember them together. As the first stars appeared above the restored valley, Rowan realized that the greatest legacy of any ruler would never be measured by the size of a kingdom or the strength of its walls. It would always be measured by whether future generations inherited hope, wisdom, and the courage to protect one another. Winter settled gently across Blackwood Kingdom, covering the mountains with quiet layers of white and transforming the restored valley into a place of peaceful beauty. The sacred springs continued flowing despite the cold. The ancient trees remained full of life, and the Guardian wolf watched over the land with calm eyes that reflected centuries of wisdom. People from every corner of the kingdom traveled to see the valley that had returned from legend. They expected to witness extraordinary displays of ancient power, but what they found instead was something far simpler. They found neighbors working together, children learning forgotten traditions, scholars preserving old knowledge, and families planting trees whose shade they would never personally enjoy. Claire Hawthorne smiled whenever visitors asked if sacred resonance had created these miracles. "The gift only opened the door," she would answer. "The people chose to walk through it." Her words spread across the kingdom and slowly became a reminder that lasting change was always built through ordinary acts of kindness. As the months passed, members of the royal council gathered once again inside the great hall of Blackwood Palace. This time there were no arguments, no fearful whispers, and no uncertainty. The oldest advisor stepped forward carrying an ancient ceremonial scroll that had remained sealed for generations. He respectfully offered it to Rowan Ashcroft. "According to the Forgotten Covenant," he said, "the Keeper of Resonance should be granted a royal title equal to the greatest leaders of our history." Every eye turned toward Claire. The chamber waited quietly as Rowan accepted the scroll before walking toward her. His expression held neither command nor expectation. It held only respect. "Blackwood would be honored if you accepted this place beside me," he said. Claire looked around the hall filled with people she had come to care about. She appreciated the kindness behind the offer, yet her heart remained steady. "Your Majesty," she replied gently, "I never came here to receive a title. If people begin following me because of a position instead of the choices I make, then the meaning of sacred resonance will be lost." The room remained completely still. No one had expected such an answer. Rowan studied her for a long moment before a quiet smile appeared across his face. He rolled the ancient scroll closed and placed it back into the advisor's hands. "Then I will not ask you to stand beneath a title," he said. "Instead, I ask you to stand beside me as my equal in purpose. Not because tradition demands it, but because this kingdom is stronger when we learn from one another." Claire felt warmth fill her heart. There was no pressure hidden within his words and no promise of authority. It was simply an invitation built on mutual trust. She nodded with quiet gratitude. That is a path I can gladly walk. At that very moment, the ancient guardian wolf slowly approached them across the polished stone floor. Without making a sound, the majestic creature rested peacefully between Rowan and Claire before lifting its head toward both of them together. The meaning was unmistakable. The guardian was not honoring one above the other. It was recognizing the harmony they had chosen freely. As gentle winter sunlight streamed through the palace windows, everyone present understood that the future of Blackwood Kingdom would no longer be guided by forgotten assumptions or inherited expectations. It would be guided by leaders who listened before they spoke, served before they commanded, and understood that the strongest bond was never created through power alone, but through trust freely given and faithfully returned.